What's going on, College Hoops Heads? This is another edition of the One and Done podcast with Stephen Baggell and John Simpson. As usual, it is myself. I'm Stephen Baggell. I am here with John Simpson, and this is, I suppose, part 3 of a coaching carousel. Or not coaching carousel. It was a coaching carousel because we interviewed 2 new head coaches. This time we were interviewing an incumbent head coach, Zach Spiker from Drexel University. And as you guys know, we are doing the college basketball season preview magazine. We're interviewing over 140 Division I head coaches. Coach Spiker was gracious enough. John is writing a CAA for that magazine. And Coach Spiker was gracious enough to basically kill 2 birds with 1 stone, to do a podcast appearance with us for this segment, but also answer any questions John has pertaining to Drexel this year and the CAA conference at whole. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Steve. John, thanks so much for having myself on, and look forward to the opportunity to talking to you guys about our program, about our university, and about the roster that we've had to assemble over the past few months. Thanks for having us.
Of course. So I actually have one quick question, given my Philadelphia ties, and then I'll kind of defer to John a little bit in terms of roster construction questions. But I'm a Temple graduate. And as we talked about before we started recording, Coach, I have the Philadelphia ties. I had the opportunity to cover you guys at the Big 5 Classic and hoping to cover you guys in a whole slew of games this year. Mm-hmm. But my question is the Big 5. Obviously, for a while, Drexel was not involved really in the Big 5. And for anyone, we are a national podcast, if you don't know what the Big 5 is, it's the Philadelphia college basketball culture, basically, with Villanova, Temple, Penn, St. Joe's, and LaSalle. Starting in 2023, they added Drexel. I'd like to name the City 6 more. I think it's more fitting to include Drexel, but it's still being called the Big 5. And they revamped it a little bit. So now there's a tournament at what's now Xfinity Mobile Arena. The quad play. Like each quad plays each other, and then there's a championship game, all that.
Yeah.
Coach, what does it mean to you for Drexel to now be included in the Big 5?
It's a tremendous honor. And to think about all the great teams and coaches and staffs and players that have been at Drexel and didn't have the chance to officially compete in this setting, we take it very seriously. Now, there were a number of years where we've played as many Big 5 teams as we could on our schedule. Bruiser Flint did the same as well and had great success in some of those seasons. But this has been the first 2 official seasons to be part of the Big 5. I respectfully disagree with you, Stephen, from the name standpoint. The Atlantic 10 has 15 teams. The Big 10 has maybe 18, 20 teams. And if you look at the Big 10 over time, they have, even when they had 11, they had it said Big 10, but 11 was kind of woven into their logo. I think the Big 5 has way too much brand recognition to ever kind of deviate from that. And it's just another league that has a number attached to it that doesn't match how many members it has. But regardless, what you think from that standpoint, I absolutely love the idea of us being in it. We love the new format. I think it's very conducive to scheduling. We're in year 2, headed into year 3 of it. There's probably a few more kinks and wrinkles we can work out to really promote Philadelphia basketball and college basketball in the area. But this is a start, and I think it's great. We're fired up to be here.
Yeah. Again, the one thing I will say about the Big 5 is I wish that it still was how it used to be in terms of all the schools play each other in the non-conference.
Yeah.
Obviously, now you're just kind of playing who's in your quad and then who you play in the Big 5 Classic.
Yeah, just to pull you behind the curtain a little bit, that became a bit of a logistical nightmare as these conferences have changed and Temple's in a league, and some teams have gone from 18 now to 20. So I think in a perfect world, all 6 Big 5 programs would love to play round robin.
Yeah.
But logistically, you're talking about a lot of things to factor in that we all don't have control over each other's schedules or athletic departments. And, you get 2 teams from a football standpoint at Villanova and Temple that have to, factor in postseason runs there. So when they happen. And so there's a lot that goes into it. And I think that this is a good setup for now. And that Saturday at the Sixers Arena, is just something that's really special.
Of course, again, I'll be there, and I'll love every minute of it.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Jo-
Look forward to having you. You do know when we went to the tournament in 2021, we had Temple royalty in our program on our roster. Did you know that, Stephen?
Temple royalty on your
John, a little
roster.
trivia question. Ring of
Okay.
Honor. Ring of Honor. Can you name what Ring of Honor player's son was on our roster?
In 2021?
Yeah. John,
Right.
I see you looking it up, John. That's cheating.
I'm gonna know it after you tell me. I'm drawing a blank though.
I mean, that's about as factual a statement as there is out there, right? Tim Perry Jr.
That's right.
Tim Perry Jr. Dad is in the Ring of Honor. I believe was a lottery pick for the Sixers. At one point had a three pointers made in a game, single game record. And Tim Perry Jr. for us was not a 3-point shooter, but I tell you what, in that championship game, I think he had 9 rebounds in the first half. Came in our 3rd day in a row playing. Some other guys a little bit fatigued and tired. He kept us going when we were a little bit stuck in the mud. And a big reason why there's a championship trophy over my shoulder here, and why all our players have rings. Tim Perry Jr. Temple, the son of Temple royalty. Is that a fair statement?
I would just say so.
All right.
Okay. John, anything pertaining to this year's roster that you want to ask Coach Spiker?
Yeah. Oh man, of course. I know the first thing, and you kind of alluded to this, I think, a little bit in the beginning when we were talking about building that roster at Drexel. I think that maybe the top 4 guys in minutes last year chose to move on off that team. You did return a lot of guys, relatively, I think, on that team. And, is there anything like, what can you talk about? What can you say about building a roster, about, continuity?
Yeah.
Who are you looking forward going through this year?
Yeah.
Guys.
If I look over to my right, it's just because I got a kind of magnetic board depth chart of our roster. So that's what I'm doing, just to refresh myself of a couple of things. But you're exactly right. Not only the last year with Kobe, Yame, Deuce, and Cole Hargrove moving on to their respective institutions, and they were very handsomely rewarded to do so. The year before, Justin Moore went to Loyola Chicago, and Amari Williams went to Kentucky. If you take those 6 and you put the total NIL amount that they've received, that's 6 players, $3 million. And that is the new world. And that's something that, frankly, we're very proud of, that those guys came here with limited scholarship opportunities outside of Drexel, and they bought in to our program. They bought into our PEP, our player enhancement program, and really worked on their game and enhanced themselves. We had successful seasons with them here, and then they were able to capitalize on that in a very, very large way. And so now here we are again, kind of rebuilding or putting our pieces back together. However, I use the word rebuilding lightly because we did bring back 9 players. That's almost 70% of our roster chose to come back, Steve. So I think that's a big deal when you say 70% of the roster chose to come back. It was an impactful 4. It was 4 of our 5 starters. But I think we returned a number of guys that are starter worthy or could start. Shane Blakeney came off the bench all season because that's what the role for our team required. I mean, it was so automatic that the first horn before the media, Shane was going in. He knew it. I knew it. There was no hey, go get in there. He just got up and went in. Worst case was a media timeout. And Garfield Turner, right, played starter minutes the year before alongside Amari Williams, really kept us going other times, finished games instead of Amari a few times, at William and Mary, to be specific. He's coming back off an injury. Victor Panoff started a boatload of games for us. William Garcia Adson didn't start but could have. So I think that we're excited about the guys that chose to come back. And it's worth acknowledging where the guys went and that we developed them and they moved on. But I think that there's another version of the Drexel Dragons, the 128th year of a team here, Team 128. We're excited because a year ago, did anyone know how Kobe and Cole were going to evolve and grow? And I think that hopefully a year from today, we're talking about Horace Simmons Josh Reed, guys who have been in our program and what they're doing, Philly products, right? And talking about other players as well, Kevon Vanderhorst doing some big things. So we are excited about the players that have continued to buy into their process and their growth, and we cannot wait for next year.
Yeah, thanks for that, Coach. That's the thing that we preach all the time on this podcast is, the continuity between one year and another, and it's not. I mean, every team in the NCAA is losing players every year.
Yep.
And I've talked to coaches this year that have had to bring back, had to build an entire new roster. And so, when you're talking about in 2025, you're bringing back 70% of your roster. That's impressive. And I think it speaks a lot to the buy-in of the players and what you're doing there as a program.
And I think over that same time, guys, Jason Allison left to be an assistant coach this year, but we've had pretty good continuity in our coaching staff as well. Paul Fortier has been here a long time, Will Chavis as well. Franz, the new guy, going into his third season. Zach Duffy here going to his fifth year. Continuity at the player level and at the staff level is what helps you sustain success, and we're thrilled to have a good chunk of that in both areas.
Another guy I wanted to ask you about, and this isn't a guy that is coming back over, but as far as like the transfers that you brought in, Eli Beard, the D3 transfer, is that a guy you expect is going to get a lot of minutes this year? I mean, looking back at what he's done at the D3 level, great scorer, amazing three-point shooter, on 40% three-point shooter, great free throw shooter, super impactful at the D3 level. Can you talk a little bit about his impact on the team?
Yeah, we look for and evaluate all levels, all positions, and I think probably get a little bit of that from, I think most programs are trying to do that now. That comes from my experience in a non-scholarship setting as an assistant coach at Cornell, where everybody's a potential prospect, and then working at West Point, where everyone is coming on a non-scholarship situation essentially, and you had a roster of 20 guys there. So you recruit every position every year, and your eyes are open, and you got to be creative. Eli, we felt fit a need for our program as a primary ball handler who could come in and help us get into our action, run our offense, but also aren't many primary ball handlers out there that are shooting 40+% for his career. Not one season, not 40 one year, 20 another, 30, like over 40% for his career. And he's a dynamite player, a little bit short on size and length, but still finds a way has found a way so far this summer to be impactful defensively on the ball and doing some things. So I credit our coaching staff to Will Chavis, who ran the point on that, but all of our coaches that are willing to kind of dive into non-traditional areas to get players that can help us in a lot of ways. And we may not be done. We don't start school till September 22nd. So I'll leave that out there. We're still working the waiver wire a little bit.
That's awesome. So another question I have, you mentioned, glancing over there at your magnetic depth chart board. Can you give us any kind of clue about, who we expect to see a lot of this year, as far as starters, guys you're going to be dependent on?
Yeah, I think one of the players that had a good year last year, but I think we're all expecting much more out of him because of the type of year we had, is Victor Panoff. Can play both the 4 and the 5, incredibly well put together as a physical player, but also, he didn't shoot a great percentage from 3 last year, but when he did make those threes, they were big shots. They were impactful buckets. And I think the home game against Monmouth, at that point in time, he wasn't shooting a great percentage, but we still believed in him. He's an everyday guy. You want to continue to encourage that. And he came in here and he hit 2 huge threes in the second half that, frankly, kind of broke the game open. And so I think Victor Panoff and one of his close friends and teammates that came in last year, Kevon Vanderhorst. Kevon really burst onto the scene after a broken wrist in the summer, was out sometime, but came on in his real first game against Penn State, had 14 points. 14 points against Penn State. So came on quickly. And so I think those are 2 guys that are really poised to have an enhanced year playing for us this year.
Yeah, appreciate that, Coach. And then, talking a little bit more about the CAA in general, this is a team that finished, I think, right middle of the road pretty much in the CAA last year. A team that was, I think, second the year before in the final standings. How do you feel about the competitiveness of this conference, from year to year, and where do you see this team this year?
How do I feel about the competitiveness of this conference? I'll answer that part first, John. I think this league is so underrated for a lot of different reasons. One, maybe you don't get to see us on ESPN Plus like other conferences, but this conference, we have a CBS TV package. And I think that when you get to see us and you get to see these venues, there's a lot of snake pits in our league. There's a lot of tough places to play. The DAC being one of them, right? But you got a lot of really good coaches, a lot of coaches that have won a lot of games, staffs for their teams are going to be prepared. You're going to have plan B, C, and D ready to go. Everyone's going to know what you do. So the players are prepared. And then when you're prepared as a player and you're confident, you can let your talent just take over. Then there's some really, really talented players in our league. We had a guy in Amari Williams just went in the second round in the NBA. I think that was the highest drafted CAA player since Marcus Thornton, maybe out of William & Mary. So our league has had players. I think we've had about 10 players drafted in the past 8 seasons. So it's a great league. It's very competitive. The home court environments are very difficult to win if you're a road team. And I think that makes really the recipe for an awesome conference tournament, to be very honest with you. Those quarterfinal games feel like daggone championship knockdown dragouts. And I've talked to a couple other coaches, and it's like, you win that. Like, wait, we got 2 more games? Like that felt like the championship. So I think it's a great league. Where do I see our team stacking up compared to past seasons? That's a hard one to predict, John. We're still finalizing our roster. I know other guys in the league are doing the same. No one truly has a pure sense of what they have right now. They're still getting to that point. So that's a harder one to answer. I will tell you, we were disappointed getting upset 2 years ago with the second place finish. I think that last year we finished 9-9. That was a team that probably is 3 to 5 foul shots away being made to be in 12-8, and I mean, I think we lost to Towson in 3 games by a combined 8 points or something crazy. And then we played them toe to toe. Certainly gave them a run for their money in the conference tournament, but also lost to them we tipped it in at the buzzer. They counted it, and in the video review, they went and they didn't count it. And that, so I think our 9-9 is a little bit misleading. I thought we were really competitive night in and night out. And I think that's what everyone needs to know, that, when you're going to play us, you're going to have to earn your opportunities, because we're going to do everything we can to make life very difficult on the defensive and offensive end.
Yeah, thanks. I was going to say the same thing. I mean, 9-9 is the middle of the pack, but I think third place is 10-8 in this league almost. It's always so competitive, especially those middle of the pack teams. And looking at your some of those games that are so close there at the end, I think it really speaks to the how tough this league is. And not only is it a proving ground for a lot of players that go on to bigger programs and onto the NBA, but for coaches too. I mean, I think this is there's some great coaches in that CAA conference, and yourself included. And, so often, because we always do a coaching carousel show, and, we've even predicted, like the 3 years out coaching carousels. And, we're so impressed by so many guys in that league, which really makes it fun to watch,
Well, I think it's a well-coached league. The coaches are seasoned. They're prepared. Wilmington, Takeo has done a terrific job. I think he's played different styles, different ways based on his personnel. Bill Cohen is on the verge of becoming the first ever 200 wins in league games in the CAA next year. And you got Pat Scarry, who has been a model of consistency the last handful of years as well. So there are other coaches. Speedy's done a great job. So many, you go down the line. And even some of the coaches that have left our league have been really talented. So you got to be ready to play, and you got to have a plan. And, to win and to win consistently and to win on the road, a lot of things have to come together.
So, John, does that prompt the full court press?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. One more thing I wanted to ask about, Coach. Just about you personally. 2016 Prosser Man of the Year award. Did I see that?
Yes.
Yeah. What was that like? To be. I mean, I know you've won a Coach of the Year in the Patriot. You've won. You got awards there for your teams and as a coach, but to get an award like the Skip Prosser Man of the Year, what was that process like? How does that rank up against some of the other awards that you've won individually and as a coach?
Yeah, it's certainly a very special award. I think it's a very special award for a number of reasons. First and foremost, Skip Prosser, the late Skip Prosser, is one of the best coaches and, more importantly, best people to really ever coach and work in our game at the college level. So to receive an award named after him was incredibly humbling. But you don't get awards without so many other people in support group, whether it be your family or your coaching staff. And I've had the opportunity to really be around in going into my 17th season as a Division I head coach, to be around so many great assistant coaches that I've had a chance to learn from. And, it's a hard business to sustain success, and just thankful to have been around some really good coaches that have kind of encouraged and mentored and showed me a way along the way. But that was a tremendous honor. But I hope that more importantly than it was focused about me, was about all the people I've had a chance to work with and be a part of that journey.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach.
No problem.
Yeah, I think after that, Steve, do you have any more questions? You want to go for the?
No, let's go to the full court press. So, Coach, we do a segment with every coach or player that we have come on the pod. It's called the full court press. It's basically rapid fire, 8 or 9 questions. You can answer them however you want, but it's supposed to be, more of a fun, silly type thing we do to help some of our listeners get to know you better.
Yeah, when you say full court press, immediately I'm thinking chin the ball on the rebound, ball fake it out, make sure we get a good pass, catch the ball, turn to the outside, let's not travel. Like, I'm thinking all the different things. 2 dribbles, drag it up, reverse it quickly, look to the middle, right? Get the ball to the sideline when you cross half court. So I gotta shift gears. It's not exactly, we're not talking X's and O's here, right?
No, this will be a little bit easier than that.
What do you think of that? That sounds like a good press break though, right?
Sounds like a great
Perfect.
Yeah. We call it L. It's been pretty good for us.
So, what is your favorite basketball memory?
I'm going to give you a little bit of a Big 5 local feel to it. Having grown up in Morgantown, West Virginia, I remember my dad telling me that it was okay to skip school. We went to the Atlantic 10 tournament. The Atlantic 10 tournament, you got Temple, number 1 in the nation at the time, Rhode Island, Tom Garrick, really good team. West Virginia had a very talented team as well. But to see all those teams in one day, that's like a core memory to me, maybe, and a big reason why I'm in coaching. But at that point in time, Temple had Mark Macon. I mean, holy cow, like Nate Blackwell, Mark Macon, Tim Perry Sr., some really, really, Mike Vrieswick, some really good players. But the guy that, for whatever reason, I absolutely had to have Rodney Blake's autograph from St. Joe. Rodney Blake from St. Joe. So that's a nice Big 5 twist right there. But that memory of going to the Atlantic 10 tournament is a special memory as a young person growing up.
Who's your favorite all-time player?
Favorite all-time player growing up, I would say Mark Macon would be one of those answers for you. I mean, there's just so many guys, but like watching him play and get so many buckets on my favorite team at the time, right, in West Virginia, my hometown team, I thought he was so fun to watch, and got a chance later on in coaching to spend some time with him, to know him. And so that's a name way back. But he was, I think, 2-time consensus All-American, a really talented player at Temple.
What is this a little bit of a more of a full court press difficult one? What is something people don't know about you?
Probably a lot right there. I don't know. I mean, I would say in my downtime, I love to go fishing if I
Okay.
can, and that happens one day out of the year.
If there was no such thing as basketball, what would you be doing?
I don't know. That's embarrassing to have that answer. I don't have a very good backup plan, so better be good at it. I love coaching and being around people. I love helping people, give them confidence and make them feel better about what's going on. So find a way to impact in some way there.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
I'd love to be. It's had a couple answers, but mine are more basketball centric. I'd love to be able to block every shot. I'd love to be able to be right there and protect the rim, no matter what was going on. That might be the impact of Amari Williams and Cole Hargrove in my life. Just having that rim protection the last few years felt like a superpower. I'm not sure we're going to have that this year, but now that would be one answer there for you.
Who have Coach Spiker's Matumbo finger wag?
Right. There you go. There you go. Yeah, exactly. I would say a superpower in terms of being able to travel, right? Travel from one spot to the other quickly,
Okay.
whether it's airfare or whatever it is. If that was a superpower, so we could travel, our guys wouldn't have to wait in airports. Or be, hey, we're going to go down, let's go in this portal, and we end up right there. Now, when they say they go in the portal, I get nervous, though. So that's a different type of portal.
So this one is typically a question we ask the players. Who is your best comparison? For you, since you're a coach, I don't want to say it's your comparison, but is there like a coach that you sort of model your coaching style after?
You know, it's funny. I'm not sure how to answer that because when I got the opportunity to be head coach at West Point, Steve Donahue himself, Skip Worley, his high school coach, just said, do not try and be another coach. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. So I think that people that you hear about and you emulate, my dad had a chance to be an athletic trainer at North Carolina before I was even born. So hearing so many Dean Smith stories and about his ability to stand up for his players, empathize with things that they may be dealing with that other people weren't. I love those stories. So, do our players encourage? Do we point to the assist guy like the Carolina way? That may be one that I had never had a chance to meet him, but I'm not saying I would emulate anybody, but that's one that really impacted me growing up. My dad would always talk about that.
Who's the best player you ever coached and the best player you ever coached against?
Those are on the spot questions, you guys. You got to give me a little time on that one. From a talent standpoint and best player ever had a chance to coach, I'm going to stay. Goodness gracious, that's a hard one right there. I think I'll just say one of the most impactful players had a chance to coach during my time as a head coach at Drexel, and opportunity to impact his program and turn things around. I would say Cam Winter was such a massive get for us as a point guard. Ended up being rookie of the year, ended up being all conference, ended up being conference tournament MVP and taking us to the NCAA tournament. What a legacy he left behind at Drexel. Playing against, there's been a lot of talented players in the CAA. When I was an assistant coach at Cornell, we had a chance to play at the University of Washington and to see Brandon Roy up close and in person. He was a different dude. And I think at the point in time, the nation was talking about Adam Morrison or JJ Redick, right? I think that was about the same time. Who was the best player? And I was like, anyone seen this guy? And I believe Brandon Roy, for the chunk of his career at UW, came off the bench. It was just kind of where his comfort zone was. But in terms of pro players in person, seeing how they move and operate, I would have to go with Brandon Roy. But, there have been some really talented players in our league that keep me up at night and have given me a couple of these gray hairs in game prep in the last few years for sure.
So then our last one, Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
I think all people of a certain age lean towards Michael Jordan, and I will do the same thing as well. I think maybe one of the bigger separations is not so much the rings. Yes, those matter. But I think it's 10-time defensive first team all defense
for Jordan.
Yeah, I think that really is something that really can separate in his ability. But yeah, I would say Michael Jordan over LeBron. Now, you want to talk about second and third, right? Is it LeBron, right? How do you not mention Kobe in that category and his impact and his work ethic that is so legendary? I think there's a grouping right there that are just absolute legends of their era and beyond their era. And I think certainly LeBron, I think Kobe can be in there as well.
Okay. That's all the questions, John. You have nothing, no follow-ups?
No, we're good.
Okay. So, Coach, we appreciate you coming on. You have a final thought? It looks like you have something to say.
No, this was it was an honor to be on. I'd love to have you guys come watch a game in the DAC. If you ever want to do your podcast live from the DAC, you've got that invitation. And this is a great environment. This is in Philadelphia, the best city for college basketball. And you got a big 5 game against Penn, the battle for 33rd, I believe November 21st. We'd love to have you guys here and take in Philadelphia basketball at its best.
Oh, I'll be there. John's a North Carolina guy, so we need to get him up here during that time. But
come on, John. Come on up, John.
Yeah, let's go.
Get you a cheesesteak.
Yeah.
Ishka Bibbles.
Oh, Ishka Bibbles too, down on South Street, D'Alessandro's. A lot of good options. A lot of great options.
But okay, this concludes this episode of the One and Done podcast. In the link to this video and to the audio version is the College Basketball Season Preview magazine. We're previewing all 365 teams. We have exclusive interviews with 140 coaches so far. Hopefully we get, over 200. One of them being Coach Spiker, who was gracious enough to do a whole podcast with us. But nonetheless, go check that out. Pre-order that. Release date October 13th. Myself, John, Coach Spiker. We will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys. Take care.